Hi, everybody, and welcome to Book It Vince, the wrestling dream match podcast on the internet. I'm one of your hosts, Martin Bennett. And with me, as always, is the dirtiest player in the game, Anthony Hall.
Woo! I showered today. Woo!
Not actually dirty, metaphorically dirty, or whatever it is.
I need to buy new underwear. Woo!
Styling and profiling.
I'll probably do my laundry later after putting it off for several weeks. Woo!
Nice. All right. Well, we got a good episode for you today. As always, please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you listen to your podcast, or come watch us on YouTube and watch the video version. Sometimes Anthony does a weird camera thing that annoys me slightly, but is really funny at the same time. No.
Also, come see our cool wrestling t-shirts. Something that I don't disclose, or that I haven't disclosed yet, is like whenever I'm out at the mall and I'm like, oh, I can afford to buy a new wrestling t-shirt this month, I will buy one, and I always look forward to recording with a new one. And today I have a AEW wrestling
the Mox
t-shirt on.
Shirt. That's good.
And in our last episode, I think I was wearing my Lucha Brothers one, which is also
there's some really, really good. Shop AEW is killing it. Honestly, I love all their designs.
Hey man, send us some stuff, Shop AEW. If you're listening to this, we love you. Send us some stuff. At Pro Wrestling Tees.
I loved it, and not to suck AEW's dick even harder than we already do. Honestly, I love the fact that they use. Okay, so this is a weird thing about me before we get into our thing, into the episode. Sorry. So I have horrible eczema. So like comfortability of shirts is very important to me. And I'm so happy that AEW merchandise uses Gildan shirts, because they're the most comfortable, like sensitive, like fabric. They use the best cotton, and so I always look for what brand does this company use in terms of shirts. And as soon as I saw they use Gildan, I was like, oh yes, perfect. I'm gonna get so many shirts from this store.
Yeah, and they're not like super stiff either. Like,
no,
it's nice.
And I've had mine for a while, and they haven't shrunk, which is great.
That's great.
So, anyways, Shop
AEW Pro Wrestling Tees. Send us some shirts, baby.
This is not an ad. All right, but
Rain Energy, send us some cans.
I mean, yes, please send me Rain Energy. I spend so much money drinking this stuff.
Marty drinks Rain Energy every episode. You guys send us some. Send us some cans.
It just helps me get through.
Yeah.
Anyways, diving into this week's episode, it's Anthony's turn to challenge me. So Anthony, what are we doing this week?
All right. So these wrestlers have wrestled each other before.
Okay.
In the WWE.
Right.
But they have not wrestled each other in this wrestler's current form, current name, gimmick, and I think it would be very exciting. So It's very fitting, because I am wearing his shirt. Ooh. Jon Moxley versus Rob Van Dam. That's right.
I like it. Rob Van Dam is such an interesting person.
Is such an interesting person?
Well, it's because, like, you know, I kind of stopped following Rob Van Dam's career after he left WWE, because I didn't really know about, like, independent stuff and everything.
Mm.
And then suddenly he shows up and he's on Impact and he has like his multiple girlfriends.
Hey, man.
And he's
a free soul.
He's smoking J's all the time. And he's getting high and he's in bubble baths with his women. And I'm just like, what? I remember Rob Van Dam as the like peppy go lucky, like I'm frog splashing, crazy high flying dude. And then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, you got problems.
You got problems.
I don't know,
man.
But at the same time, it's very entertaining. And I mean, it makes him a really good heel.
Yeah.
So
Rob Van Dam and Dean Ambrose have wrestled each other before. They wrestled each other on like a SummerSlam pre-show like 7 years ago. And it was for
crazy.
It was for the United States Championship. Dean Ambrose had it at that time. And Rob Van Dam was challenging for it. And RVD hits a frog splash. And it looks like he's about to pin Dean Ambrose for the win. And Roman Reigns comes in and spears RVD.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And then the Shield leave the ring. And RVD obviously wins the match by disqualification. But Dean Ambrose is still the champion.
Right.
What I want to see now is like, maybe it could be current RVD. Like it would be different, but it'd be an easier distinction between who is face and who is heel.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do like how exciting like peak RVD. I mean, I guess he could still do the moves.
He still does all the moves. It's just like, what is his character? And I mean, it just helps him with being still a heel. And it would honestly still be a pretty crazy pop of RVD showing up in AEW to challenge Moxley. And I think what Mox right now is very good at in his current position as the AEW champion, because we all know he's fucking losing to Kenny Omega. We know it. Yeah. It's going to happen.
At Revolution, Kenny Omega is going to beat Jon Moxley.
But what Mox is doing really well right now is he is showcasing different talent and in interesting ways and different ways to like make not necessarily stars of these people, but just show people how good these people are. And like, sure, I mean, we just came off of him facing Eddie Kingston, and that was amazing. That was great. Mm-hmm. You know, him versus Lance Archer, because of COVID and stuff, it didn't really get to like pan out the way people wanted it to, probably. Yeah. But still, it was this really entertaining. Like, it's always John coming up as like trying to overcome something. And even like Moxley versus MJF was great. And it didn't hurt MJF to lose.
No, it made MJF look pretty awesome, actually. Like that little mini feud was like really fun to watch with like trying to ban the paradigm shift. And
because that's the other thing. You look at Moxley's reign, he hasn't had really like a main feud through his reign.
No, he's had a bunch of mini ones.
Yeah, they've all been small little things of him overcoming someone and then moving on to the next person. So I think that's what it could be. Is it could be like I'm looking towards Kenny. I'm going to try to hold on to this title. I'm looking towards Kenny in the future. And then Rob Van Dam shows up.
RVD.
And it becomes a 2-month feud or whatever.
Yeah, he could definitely show up. And I think that's probably the direction we want to go with this is RVD. I don't want to say he's a stopgap because it's pretty clear that Moxley will retain in this feud, but it will be very entertaining for him and his girlfriends to appear in AEW, just twerking and smoking J's and, living the life.
It's this thing of it's this argument that I keep making for AEW, which always kind of sounds dumb, is that because then the retaliation is like, well, WWE does that too, but AEW just does it better. I'm sorry. I think that AEW, you know who's going to win, but it almost doesn't matter because it's more about how they're going to get there. That's important. We know that Kenny's going to beat him. Everybody basically knew that the final of that number one contenders tournament was going to be Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. We knew that Kenny was going to win. We know that Kenny is going to beat Moxley. But we knew that Darby was going to beat Cody. As soon as they added the stipulation to the Bucks versus FTR match, knew that the Bucks were going to win.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's about how you get there. Well, I think that WWE kind of suffers with that. You know what's going to be the finish, but then the way they get there isn't that interesting. The caveat to that is the Roman Reigns stuff because it's great.
Yeah.
Roman is going to win in whatever match. But how does it get there? That's interesting. And they need to do more of that. And that's what's great about this is Moxley will 100% win. But it's how are they going to get there? What's going to be the story that takes them to that point?
Yeah. And what is the story that will
I think
get RVD?
I mean, what I think is with Moxley, it doesn't ever seem like it's that complicated of story. Because I don't think his character warrants that really. Complicated story. I think it's, it is this thing of usually the person that is challenging him is the driving force of the story. Like with Kingston, it was Kingston sort of needing to backstab and do the stuff that he didn't want to do in the wrestling world to get to the point where he was challenging for a world title. With MJF, it was this thing of making a statement and showing that he's the future of AEW and through all that, Moxley didn't do much in terms of character because he just was himself in sort of, but he did have good responses to it. I'm not saying that Moxley is a boring character. I'm saying that he's a simple character. And so he doesn't have to respond in giving giant long promos or whatever. He sort of is methodical in the sense that he keeps it short and simple as to the reasons why he does what he does.
Yeah.
And so it's that thing of what does RVD bring to the table, where I think it's this thing of it could be as simple as RVD sees Mox as you're doing great. I've watched you come up through this, but I don't really know, actually. It could be this thing of it's just simply, I'm a seasoned vet in this sport and you're doing good, but you've kind of gotten to pick and choose who you really want to fight. And you got into situations where you had the advantage or you kind of got lucky. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I like that he's I've been watching you from afar. I've watched you since before you were Jon Moxley. And and it's and I have the experience. I'm hardcore, man.
Could this be this thing where he's you know what? I want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
It's John, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Hey, it could be he comes in, he's hey John, remember me? And he tries to be cool and stuff, and then and Moxie's just what are you really up to, RVD?
Yeah.
And then
kind of blows him off. Yeah, he's ugh. Okay.
It's just everybody's RVD, woo, and Moxley is just sort of sure. You're suddenly coming to me and want to be friends.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it starts out, where it's you want to be friends.
You want to smoke a J with me?
You want to come into my hot tub with my 16 wives?
my two wives and my girlfriend. Yeah. He's he's inviting him to a party and stuff. And Mox is just not having any of it because he's just stoic and broody all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's come on, man. We've been through it.
Yeah, it could really be that, because then it's this sort of thing of like, and then you can have RVD like do like a match here or there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, I remember Rob Van Dam. Everybody's doing the Rob Van Dam. It's like, whoa. And then maybe like they go into like a tag team match or something like that, where it's like, I don't know, like Brian Cage and Ricky Starks or something like that. And it starts out as like RVD's kind of like on the face side, but everybody's still kind of like he kind of is acting sort of weird and kind of like a not creepy, but he's kind of got this sort of character of like sleazy.
Yeah, he's kind of sleazy. I think he probably will get into it with Taz, like, because they go way back from like ECW, right? So he's probably like, oh man, Taz. And he tries to join Team Taz, and Taz is like, no, you are so weird. Like, I don't want you. Your many wives.
Oh,
your Jays.
No, I think Taz would be like, Rob, at one point, I would 100. You wouldn't even have to ask, and you'd be
I
involved.
would have said yes.
But I don't need someone. I don't need someone who's worn out and broken.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's where some people then kind of like. Some people are kind of like, I agree with Taz, and some people are like, no, come on, you can't say that about Rob Van Dam. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And then that's maybe where Mox is kind of like, kind of right.
Yeah,
I don't want this whole episode to be shitting on Rob Van Dam. He's amazing. He's an amazing performer.
No, he's awesome.
It's just this weird character shift where I honestly don't know if it's actually a portrayal of his real life. Like, I don't know if they're just like, hey Rob, do whatever you want. It's entertaining. And he's like,
who do you think RVD would align himself with in AEW? Do you think he like would hang out with like Kip Sabian and Miro? You think you'd hang out with Joey Janela maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
It's him and Joey Janela would maybe tag. Like, let's say like Sonny Kiss is like off doing something that is more legitimate, maybe like challenging for the TNT title again, maybe. And Joey Janela.
Yeah, I think Janela would be good. Maybe the Hybrid 2.
Oh, actually, that's hilarious. Yeah, the Hybrid 2 would be amazing.
Just because it's like their style, you know, it fits his style, and they can work together that way. And also like Angelico is sort of just like, I don't know how to describe him. He's just sort of like, he's really a good performer. His character is just sort of like really stuck up. While Jack Evans is just the most mouthy piece of shit ever, and I love it. I love it so much. My favorite is when what's the move that he does? He just does like a suplex or something, and then he gets up and he's like, "That was the greatest suplex ever."
Oh yeah, is it just like a bridging like Northern Lights suplex that he does, and then he just was like, ah.
Yeah, he's like, how do you kick out of the greatest move ever?
Yeah. He does some great moves. Yeah, I guess, yeah. He's aligning.
He's so mouthy too, and he's
aligning with the Hybrid 2 would be really funny. RVD with the Hybrid 2 and Angelico and Jack Evans.
I think the story is like, yeah, he shows up and he tries to be all buddy with Moxley, and Moxley's kind of like not having it.
Yeah.
And then they could have some sort of thing where it's like, yeah, he like tries to get in with Taz because it's like, you know, remember ECW days, all this stuff. And Taz is like, no, not interested. And then they have like a tag team match where like Mox and him win. But Mox is still really not kind of liking how suddenly RVD showed up and started like really trying to be close to him. He's seen this before, all this stuff. And that's maybe where it's like Moxley doesn't really do interviews. He just does promos where maybe then he's like, I've been reading what everybody's saying online. I don't know what RVD's motives are, but
what are his intentions?
But remember, I always have, maybe it's something like I'm always watching my own back. Yeah. I've learned over the years you need to watch your own back, and I'm watching mine 24/7 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then maybe it is this thing where then Moxley gets attacked by the Hybrid 2 or something like that. Or finally they have like a blow off where it's Moxley and RVD, and that's the moment where it's like RVD shows his true intentions, and then that's where the Hybrid 2 come out. And it's like secretly he's been fishing up the scheme behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And now he's formed this like mini group to help him. And so then it's the three of them versus Moxley, because it's pretty much how they always end up portraying someone against Moxley, is like it's like multiple people against Mox, because they have to show how, strong he is and how intense he is. So it's like, you have Brian Cage with Ricky Starks and Taz. You have Lance Archer with whoever. You have MJF with Wardlow, and like you have Eddie Kingston with the Lucha Bros and the Butcher and the Blade. And so you have like, it's always just like, how do you overcome this next hurdle, Moxley? And then he does.
Yeah. Okay, so then I think something else to include is like to end the Team Taz feud with RVD. I think RVD and the Hybrid 2 have to face Ricky Starks and Brian Cage with somebody else. Like, I think they're like, oh, Taz is like, I'm gonna teach RVD a lesson. Maybe he like talks to Jake the Snake and recruits Lance Archer too. So it's Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks versus the Hybrid 2 and RVD.
Like, that'd be
like
crazy.
It's like, oh, like RVD and the Hybrid 2, it's like they're probably gonna get their asses kicked.
Yeah, but I think then they sneak out a win.
Yeah. Well, I think a funny, like an awesome spot would be like, you think that Jack Evans and Angelico are just like dummy, like they can't wrestle anymore, and Lance Archer's coming in to do like a big move or something like that, and a chair just comes flying in and like Lance Archer catches it, and then like Rob Van Dam does his like crazy like side kicky
spin kick,
and just like kicks him out of the ring. Then Ricky Starks comes in, then like RVD like hits him with a strike or something, and then hits him with a rolling thunder, and then Brian Cage comes in, but then Angelico and Jack Evans are like now like strong enough to get up, and they all gang up on Brian Cage, and RVD hits a huge frog splash onto Brian Cage and pins him, and then they win, and then they like pop champagne. RVD's girlfriend just come in. Yeah, they're like everybody's they're twerking, they're doing the and he's like, yeah.
Oh man, it's also the part of wrestling that I think we all kind of wish we could forget. That was okay. Side tangent. It was also one of the things that I didn't really, because people. What was it? It was when Damian Priest won the North American Championship. Loved it. Loved that he got that chance. It was a great match. The ladder match was awesome. But then they finished it off with him getting into a hot tub with two women. And I just was like, okay, that kind of ruined it for me. Because it's just that part of wrestling of like the like we use women as as like glorified object. It was kind of like sort of, I just didn't really like it.
Right.
That's sort of the area of wrestling that I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just tired.
But I think for this specific story,
it makes it
and RVD's character, it makes sense. So let's say they win this match, right, against Team Taz and Lance Archer, and they are like happy in ring, but then they go backstage and there's the hot tub and the girls are like twerking and shooting the champagne, and he's just like, yeah, I'm back, baby, it's RVD. And and maybe he sees Mox and he's like, come on, man, come on.
That'd be crazy.
And maybe it's like simple enough that RVD just like grabs a bottle of champagne and sprays it on Mox. And Mox is just like, what? Yeah.
What? It just pisses him off.
It's like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
even though we had like a random tag match when I came back, because it's like, oh, it'd be hilarious if they tagged. I don't like you, and you just covered me in champagne. So maybe he just like immediately starts beating up RVD.
Maybe it could even be a thing of like, it's like, yeah, come celebrate with us, and the Mox like
Yeah.
gives him the cold shoulder or whatever, and goes out or whatever. And then maybe it's like the next week or something where like Mox is in a match or whatever, and then he wins, and then RVD comes out with champagne, and they're like, "We're gonna celebrate your match. You won, Mox. You." And
with his girlfriends and with Hybrid 2, they're just like, yeah.
And then they're like celebrating and whatnot, and then he sprays him with that, and then Mox just sort of, but then he sort of just like gets mad and he grabs RVD, or maybe then he just slaps him across the face or something, and he's just like, what's or he like takes it and he just like throws it away, and then that's where RVD like slaps him maybe. And then I'm just thinking of like, what is it that then makes RVD mad enough to take a champagne ball and break it over top of Moxley's head?
Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe he like sprays him with it, and Jon Moxley is like, "Are you kidding me?" He like slaps. Yeah, he slaps RVD, and everyone's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And then RVD is like, "You don't like, dude. It's like, you should respect me. Like, I'm a veteran. Like, I saw you." Like from way back, you're just like, have you ever heard of ECW? You just like getting right in his face, and then
Mox maybe like turns away to try to leave, and then that's where
he smashes it. Yeah, exactly. And then then like Angelico and Jack Evanson do some moves and beat up Mox while he's like on the ground, and then RVD gets up and hits him with the frog splash.
Oh, they just like grab a chair or something, put it around his neck or whatever, and just like the classic, just sort of like trying to like hurt him in some way.
Yeah. What if they go and get a table and they set up the table and they're like punching him. They're doing fake wrestling punches, of course.
Yeah.
And they put Mox on this table, and RVD gets up and just does a frog splash onto him, and then they crack another bottle of champagne, they spray it on him, and his girlfriend's a twerking on him and stuff. And it's just like, oh
my god,
this is embarrassing. Like, this guy's the AEW champion, and this old dude. I don't want to say he's a has-been, obviously, because I like RVD a lot. But yeah, this guy kind of seemingly came out of nowhere, who is just like trying to make friends and stuff. He's like, oh, all of a sudden this guy's like kind of injected himself into the title picture by beating up the champion with his cronies. Hybrid 2. Yeah,
and then it can be a thing of like, maybe they both got promos of they each think that the other is an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Where like RVD's reason is like, you're an embarrassment to our sport, and like you're selfish, like you're a selfish prick. You like, every single time a friend like gets close to you, you turn their back on them. You left all of us, blah 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 blah. And then it's like, and then Moxley's reasoning is like, you're a has-been. Look at what you're doing. You used to be one of the most respected athletic performers, and now
you're like one of the toughest son of a bitches I ever knew, I ever watched. And now what are you doing? You're dancing, you're smoking J's, you're drinking. And it's like, oh yeah, it's like you're embarrassing. Like you're a grown man. You have a family.
Yeah.
And this is what you're doing. And then RVD is like, you're incapable of loving anything other than wrestling. Ask your wife, who hasn't seen you for months on end, who is clutching her cell phone every time you're in a match because you put your body on the line and you allow yourself to get hurt. And this is where it gets like a little bit dramatic, because for the most part, this is like a funny feud. Like,
yeah, it's more just to be like, yeah, it's more or less not to be like ever super dramatic. Yeah, Moxley's matches so far have never gotten like to the point of being like crazy dramatic. It's just that they've gotten it's touched on it a little.
Yeah.
Just as like the turn of like, and this is what they're fighting for, you know.
And basically that like really triggers Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like, he's like, what do you mean I'm incapable of loving something other than wrestling?
But yeah, and then I think some good moments that you could have then after are like you could have like a handicap match with the Hybrid 2 versus Moxley.
Yeah.
Where he just sneaks out on top.
Right.
Because obviously the odds are against him and everything, but then it's like you show how good Moxley really is as a wrestler. I think
he like hits like a paradigm shift, and then he gets like the bully choke onto like Jack Evans, who just like
he just has
he's just like
he'll break him otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, I'm surprised that bulldog choke I'm really happy that they have Moxley doing it now, because it was just like, all right, the paradigm shift, cool. But like the fact that he's like, all right, fine, I'll have a submission as my move now. And then he's been consistently using it. I'm like, oh, this is great. And
it's
like,
good to have that, because it's like, it's too expected for like a repeatable finisher like that. Like imagine if Stone Cold had like a actual submission that he would use, like, instead of just being like, oh, it's going to be a Stone Cold Stunner, and he's just going to spam it 6 times and he'll win.
It's like how they also gave Roman Reigns the guillotine.
Right.
As a move now, where it's like, yeah, of course, because the whole point is that you want to like make your opponent suffer in some way. And so now instead of just like a spear, a Superman punch, it's like, no, he like grabs a guy and chokes him the fuck out. And with Moxley, it's like him applying that to some of the people that he's faced, especially like him doing it on Eddie Kingston, where he's just like wrenching back so hard. I'm like, oh my god, that looks like it really hurts.
Barbed wire on his hands, man.
Yeah,
like well, even on his arms.
Even like there's that, but then even just how much torque he puts on them of like stretching their back and everything. Oh, it's so ugh. And if that was on Jack Evans, I think he'd snap in half.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so Mox just absolutely, well, he sneaks by, but he wastes Jack Evans with the bulldog choke. And of course, RVD will come in and just like, remember how we were saying earlier, Jon Moxley's like, I'm always watching my back. I'm always, watching my back up, protecting myself. This time he wasn't, because this will be like a repeat of the Shield spot, where then RVD sneaks up behind Jon Moxley with the chair and just hammers him.
Yeah. It's like it's gotta be like he chokes him out, taps, he just gets up and then boom immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of think, I don't know, what do you think? I don't think that their final match should be a hardcore. It shouldn't be a hardcore match. It should just be a wrestling match. I think because then that kind of shows like, I'm surprised that, well, no, MJF kind of did it, where MJF was like, no, we're not going to do a street fight. We're not going to do anything. It's going to be a wrestling match because I don't believe that you're a good wrestler. You know? And I think then even if this, it's like, yeah, sure, you'd expect Rob Van Dam versus Jon Moxley would be a hardcore match in some way because of both their history. But at the same time, maybe RVD could say like, you rely on that, like, you rely on it too much. I don't think you could beat me in just a regular old match. Yeah.
And it's like, and like, let me show you what a career of being a top of your game is. Let me show you like how I've evolved past ECW, past just like hitting people with chairs and stuff like that. And like, let me prove to you that I am the seasoned veteran that deserves this title shot. And their final match will be for the AEW title.
Yeah. And maybe it's even a thing of that, RVD doesn't believe that Moxley will even put his title on the line against him.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, why don't you think, if you really think you can beat me, Mox, put your title on the line. And it's just RVD kind of goading him. And I think that's probably what then the next couple of weeks would be before leading up to it. And maybe it's not even on a pay-per-view, because obviously the next pay-per-view after Full Gear is Revolution, and that's where Kenny Omega is going to be. And maybe it is this thing of that RVD, it then ends up being a match on Dynamite. And it's just this, it is, are you willing to put it all on the line against me? Like, what you say, I'm a joke, you're the joke, Mox, maybe then, we have RVD attacking him after that match. Maybe then even they attack him more, and maybe the week after that handicap match, Mox doesn't show up on TV because maybe he's not medically cleared.
Yeah.
And so then there you have a chance for kind of RVD to show his chops of maybe someone comes out to defend Moxley. Like, who would be a good babyface? Maybe like Will Hobbs, I guess, or
that makes sense. That Will Hobbs maybe would come out and be like, I want to see what you're made of, old man.
I'm just thinking of someone that is like a face that would come out and not necessarily like defend Moxley, but like kind of be like, you need to shut your mouth.
Yeah, I think Will Hobbs is a good choice for this, actually.
And then like that's where Rob Van Dam can show like what he truly can do in like a one-on-one situation, where then they just like
he has to win.
Yeah,
for sure.
He wins, and then they just like torture Will.
Yeah.
In the middle of the ring, it's that sort of thing of like, are you ready, Moxley? Like, you see what you're getting into, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
then
every week that you're not here, I'm just gonna claim my stake even more to what will eventually be mine.
Yeah, so then maybe the week after that, he would wrestle another person who is like associated with Mox, vaguely. But this one is like the match before their clash together, and he wins, and then just like spray champagne all over the person as well, just to like echo what we established earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And his girlfriend's twerking on the body of this. Katie Forbes is twerking.
Maybe I mean, it could be a thing where like he does it again and everybody's booing and like, oh my god, you're so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Rob Van Dam, all this stuff, and he's just loving it. He's just like, yeah, that's right. No, I don't care about it. What ain't you think?
Mm-hmm.
And then like, I mean, you could have it be a silly moment where like Moxley, it's getting up to the week, like maybe it's the week before they're supposed to have their match.
Yeah.
Right. And Moxley still isn't even on TV. So then it's like RVD is like, well, I guess since Mox hasn't been here and no one's heard from him, and I might as well just we do I declare myself the champion.
Yeah.
And then like maybe they have like a celebration or like a party or something like that. And then Mox like is like in a costume or something. Or he pops out from somewhere. Maybe they like, I don't know. Maybe it's like at a hotel or something, right? And they're in the pool and then they order room service. I'm just thinking of like silly way of getting Moxley there, and he shows up and he just attacks RVD. And then like,
I like a good hotel beatdown. So yeah, let's say like
goes out and throws him in the pool.
Yeah, he declares himself the champion, and he is like having a celebration at this hotel, and like everybody's there, the girlfriends, the hybrid 2,
all the heels.
Because
even though that they're probably like, screw you, RVD, I want to be champion, they're probably just like, hey, we got free food. It's party.
Yeah, it's a party. Yeah,
fuck all the good guys.
Yeah. So I think he orders room service to his room specifically, and then he gets there and he like opens it up, and it's like, I don't know, something stupid. Like, I obviously can't just be like a piece of shit, but it'd be pretty funny.
Well, it's just like you just need some dumb way to have Mox then be there. Like even if it's like even if it's something like RVD is gonna get a massage.
Oh, that's pretty funny. He's like, yeah, it's like a private massage instead of room service. So then, yeah, he's like, he lays down and he has a towel on and he's like waiting. And then Jon Moxley,
you could get real heel heat where it's like he's expecting to get like a happy ending or something like that. And he's like, "Ooh, yeah, like, are we gonna do full service?" And it's like really sleazy and creepy and shit. And then Mox ends up being just coming in as the masseuse and just gets him immediately into a choke and like throws him. And then it's just and then it's RVD with a towel wrapped around him fighting Moxley.
Yeah. And I think a really funny spot is like to repeat a spot that he did previously is he could paradigm shift RVD through like a glass table in the hotel.
Or it could be you could have a moment where it's like maybe they're in like they brawl down the hallway and then it goes into like the dining room and throws himself over some chairs or whatever. And then like he throws him through like a glass window into like the pool area, and then it like Mox does something to throw him into the pool, and then RVD is just knocked out, like floating there.
He's like, yeah, floating.
And then
you're like, oh my god, did Mox kill RVD?
And then
did he murder him?
And then that's where it leads to. Then they have their official match the next week. It's just that last sort of like, no, I was gone for like 2 weeks. I'm back. We're gonna have our match. This is now heated.
Yeah.
You attack me, I attack you, boom.
And it would be funny to, in this match, for RVD to reference some of like Jon Moxley's old moves, like when he was Dean Ambrose. So he like does the wacky line.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And hits him, and he acts all crazy, like the lunatic fringe.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, he does like the Lutez, like and he's kind of making fun of Mox in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got to hit the moves. He's got to do the moves. The Rolling Thunder, the spin kick. I think he tries to do a frog splash. Mox knees up and gets him into the choke. I think that might be the final spot or close to the final spot.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was a thing of like Mox hits the paradigm shift on him, and then like Jack Evans and Elko are there and they like distract the ref.
Oh,
so then he can't count. You can't do a count out for, you can't count the pinfall.
Yeah,
because you're like, obviously he would have won there, but then it ends up being that he does the bulldog choke on. On him for the win.
I like that.
I think that's a really easy thing, and like, yeah, of course, Moxley's matches are always very, very rough, but then methodical in how they're structured, of just like brutal hits, and you do kind of rely on whoever he's facing to help tell the story of what it is. So yeah, having RVD like do callbacks, make fun of him, all that sort of stuff, and maybe even it's like you give RVD the props of like, oh man, it looks like RVD might actually win this, you know?
Yeah. And then you get Mox hitting the paradigm shift, the hybrid 2 come running down, and
it could be a distract the ref or grab the ref and pull them out, and then they get thrown out. They're like, no, you guys go to the back. You're out of here.
It's Bryce Remsburg. Just like,
you're out of here.
You're out of here.
What? How can I even be out of here? It's like I interrupted the match in some way.
Yeah. Jack Evans and Helico, just like their long limbs, just like.
And then you could have like RVD like low blow Moxley or something.
Yeah. I think he'll low blow him, and then maybe like spin kick him in the face, and then get up onto the turnbuckle or on the top rope to hit the frog splash, and he goes, and it's like he's in there. He's like the highest he's ever gotten in a long time. And then Moxley knees up, transition into bulldog choke, and he like just taps out RVD like almost instantly. And
I think it gets on him, and he's really trying to, but then Moxley just cranks it,
just tightens it, yeah. And then he's just like,
yeah, there's no way that you can, there's no way that you can get out of it.
And that would end that mini feud. Like he absolutely destroys it.
It's nothing crazy. It's not the longest like set, but it's just a way to like Moxley, like I said before, he's really good at having these like mini feuds that like matter, and make people look good, and like makes him look good. And so I think that that's a great way of doing that. And plus then like, you know, if we were thinking of like the dream world of what it could be, because what's probably going to happen in the real world is we're just going to start getting into the Moxley versus Omega. Like Kenny that's where we're going to start getting to. But if it was our dream world and we had this happen before that, then that's where you introduce Omega, and like Omega comes out and like attacks Moxley, or comes out and like kind of, you know, has been watching him this whole time. Maybe throughout this feud, it's like Omega's like really like paying attention and watching it, and sort of Omega keeps having really good singles matches here and there against people, and it's always just like, oh yeah, I'm coming for you, John. You better watch out at Revolution. So, and then like JR or like Excalibur, Tony Schiavone asks him like, you know, what would you do if you had to face RVD? And then that's where Omega can kind of still be on that fence of like, is he a heel? Is he a is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Where he kind of like hypes up RVD, but then kind of says like, I don't approve of his lifestyle choices.
I don't approve of his lifestyle. That's pretty funny. And I think another this could segue into a mini feud for the Inner Circle versus RVD and his team, because maybe Chris Jericho can come out at post this match on another Dynamite, and he's like really mad at RVD for the amount of champagne he's wasted. So he's like, he's like, you have to treat a little bit of bubbly with respect. What you've been doing, you've been wasting it. You know, all the fans of it, the AEW fans, like they've been trying to buy a little bit of bubbly for years. I had to contact many different suppliers of the highest grade champagne grapes to make this new batch of a little bit of bubbly. And all you're doing is spraying it all over the place. You're breaking bottles. That's very disrespectful. And I expect better from you. And they have their little mini feud where
that'd be funny.
It's the Inner Circle versus RVD, Hybrid 2, and the girlfriends, and it's it would probably end in some sort of champagne gimmick match, and that would be the end of RVD's brief stint in AEW.
Wild.
I think it's really funny.
It's really
You've been
funny.
wasting so much champagne.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. That's hilarious. No, it's you know, it's again, not that like it's the longest feud or the most dramatic feud, but it's like, you know, I think you can put any really good wrestler paired with Moxley, and you're going to get a good match no matter what. So yeah, it's just then what do you base that feud around? And if it's like this thing of coming in and trying to be buddy with them, and then kind of getting disrespected, and so then finally it's turning on him and trying to take away, you know, everything that he's worked for.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, it does just like cement Moxley as like, no, you're the, like, there's a reason why you're the champion, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. That's really good.
That's a fun, dumb, short little stopgap feud for Jon Moxley as we rapidly approach Revolution, where we know Kenny Omega is gonna.
Oh man, I'm so excited for it. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. They have been doing good long-term booking with a lot of stuff, and so I'm excited to see what happens. And little concerned about what is Moxley gonna do after. Like, even like not just like him losing the title to Omega. What's Moxley even gonna do after he's not champion anymore? It's crazy.
He might take some time off.
Yeah,
he might
probably
go wrestle in Japan.
Yeah, no, he's been a really good champ. I mean, there's only been 2 champions.
Yeah.
But
he's pretty amazing.
But like, yeah, right now, like Jericho and him, like the AEW championship, like they've had a lot of different challengers for it over both their feuds. But like having the 2 of them as the 2 like first main champs within the first year of AEW and Dynamite and stuff, like that title feels legit.
Yeah.
And whoever holds the title is legit. So yeah, really, really enjoying that. But there we go. There was Jon Moxley versus RVD. Let us know what you think and how you would have booked the feud. And if there's, anything weird or wacky or funny that you would have done in that feud. But we'll get along and get to our audience questions. So if you want to, you can submit your viewer questions to us either on our social media, commenting on our social posts on Facebook or even on the comment section on the YouTube version of the podcast. Or of course, you can always send questions to our website, UnknownErrorFilms.com/bookitvince. This week, Anthony, our question is, what is your favorite genre of wrestling? So my interpretation of this is that like I would say like in terms of genre of wrestling, like matches and stuff, like you have super sports entertaining where it's like super dramatic and all this stuff. You have really like intense like classic wrestling. There's hardcore. We now are in the age of like the cinematic matches. What's your sort of favorite thing to watch, or even then what do you not really like? Like, is there a style that you're not really a fan of too much? And yeah,
maybe it's just because like I have a short attention span, but like I really like matches that move really fast, and like when people are like, oh, it's just a spot fest, like that's my favorite. I love that. I love spot fests. But a match like recently that I really liked was at the NXT Halloween Havoc. That women's match was awesome.
Oh, the table ladders and scares match.
Yeah, it was dope. There was amazing spots, and I legitimately thought that Candice LeRae was dead. I was like,
that ending was crazy.
I was like, holy, what is happening?
Yeah, but she's well known for willing to take crazy spots. So
yeah, and I also really like hard hitting stiff matches. Like over the last couple of years, I've really started to follow Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling closer, and they have like very subtle long-term storylines that pay off in a really big way in ring, and I think that is really, really cool.
Nice.
And they really just beat the piss out of each other.
Yeah, these matches. I think I honestly really do love like weird sports entertaining matches. Like I like when it's tough. It's like I really love when it's goofy and wacky and weird, but it needs to be it's such a fine line of like it's either too much and dumb or really compelling and funny and interesting and good. Where it's like I cringed so hard when Aaliyah Mysterio and Buddy Murphy kissed. I hated that because I'm just like, this is too much. This is too.
It's not a match. It's not a match.
This is too dramatic. But like that sort of storytelling of the match,
right?
Of what's going to build up in that storyline. I'm just like, But when it's like goofy and weird, like from Halloween Havoc, the Dexter Loomis versus Cameron Grimes, where there's zombies and stuff. Like, I love that because it's weird and it's dumb and it's silly.
It was so funny when Cameron Grimes goes into the washroom and he's like, "Oh, does Loomis have a sister? Oh, mind if I do?" Takes off his vest and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he opens up the curtain and it's like a zombie and he's like, "Wow!"
Yeah. Or like, I love the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 35.
Yeah,
like because it was so referential. It was very meta, but it was also very funny and weird. And like, Cena just dove right into making fun of himself, which is great. I love that he does that, or they can do that about himself. But when it's the other side of the coin, like all the like I know that they love to do like weddings in WWE and all that stuff, where if it's done to the point of like, this is ridiculous and goofy, I like that. But when they try to take it, so it becomes very melodramatic. I guess that's what it is. Like the melodramatic stuff, I'm just like, not really that good. But when it crosses that line of being like goofy and weird, I love that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Where it's sort of like emotion should just come from the actual storytelling rather than trying to like force emotion into something like, how can you turn your back on me? It's like, no, it's like one of the most emotional matches, we talk about it a lot, is Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair WrestleMania, because obviously that's going to be emotional because it was his last match and there was true emotion in that match. While then really artificial fake emotion is where like, this person is married to this person, and that they're not actually broken up, that like all this stuff is going on.
Bobby Lashley, Rusev, Lana.
Yeah, you're like, this, I'm not invested in this. But it hasn't crossed that goofy side where you're like, okay, this is really entertaining.
Right.
Although when they had their wedding and it started to reveal all the people that wanted to say something, that was kind of funny because it just started getting dumb.
Randomly Liv Morgan just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it gets kind of weird. And
it's like, what? And then,
yeah,
Rusev leaves the company and the story, and then Lana and Bobby Lashley get a divorce, and
yeah,
the hurt business.
But Lana getting put through 8 tables in a row, that's funny, and I like that.
We're starting to see a Lana face turn from her getting. She's getting baby face cheers now after she gets absolutely dummied through tables by Nia Jax week after week.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like it's crossed that line of getting wacky, then I love it. But if it's like trying to take itself too seriously, that's where I'm like, I don't know.
She's for sure going through a table in Survivor Series.
I mean, they can just keep doing it, and it's great. And as long as she's cool with it and she is like, no, this is funny, I'm down with getting put through tables and stuff, then sweet, I love it.
I want Lana to be the sole survivor and win the match, and then everybody to come celebrate with her, and then Nia Jax puts her through a table.
It's like, yeah, you won, but still.
Yeah, she gets like all of the pop in the world. Everybody's cheering. Like, they cannot believe that Lana, of all people, was the sole survivor. And then Nia Jax comes back with the rest of the team, and
it'd be weird. That'd be so good.
In reality, what's going to happen is Bianca Belair is going to be the sole survivor, and Team SmackDown is going to win, right?
Yeah, probably.
And then they'll blame Lana for the loss, and Nia Jax will put Lana on her shoulders and Samoan drop her through a table.
Who do you think is going to be the mystery? Now we're on a side tangent. The mystery person on Team SmackDown. I'm pretty sure it's Charlotte Flair.
Probably.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Unless there's an NXT call up, because Rhea Ripley,
Mercedes Martinez,
or Chelsea Green, because Chelsea Green has kind of been hovering in the nowhere zone for a while. Not that like she would get that big of a pop. Like, I think they'd have to do like a pretty big person.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if the Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley stuff is done for now, because if it is, then I could see Rhea Ripley being that person. But also, as you said, Charlotte, it would make sense for her to come back.
Well, let us know online in the comments what style of wrestling match, like what kind of genre isn't your favorite or is your favorite. And to cap off this episode, we have our match recommendation of the week. And Anthony, I got a great one for you that I never knew about. I didn't even know existed. And it was recommended to me on YouTube because I was just looking at stuff, searching the webs, and I found a clip of the Young Bucks hitting Maria Kanellis with a Meltzer driver. Beautiful. And that took me down a rabbit hole of weird, great things that happen in like Impact and ROH. And it then recommended a match to me from ROH versus New Japan Pro Wrestling War of the Worlds. Yes. I don't know what year it is, but it's Kingdom versus the Bullet Club. So the Bullet Club at the time was the Young Bucks and AJ Styles versus Kingdom, which was Taven and Mike Bennett, or Mike Kanellis, with Maria Kanellis, also with Adam Cole. And this is like pudgy Adam Cole, where he wasn't like he was making that turn. I think this is before. Yeah, this is definitely before he joined Bullet Club, obviously, because AJ Styles is still the leader of Bullet Club. But it's just a wild, crazy 6-person tag match. And it just gets crazy and weird and wacky. My favorite point is where there's a few crazy points, most of them involving Maria Kanellis, because she takes some serious bumps where like she almost gets put into a Styles clash. She gets like a triple super kick. She gets triple super kicked by like all of the Bullet Club members.
God bless Maria Kanellis.
I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I'm pretty sure she takes a Panama Sunrise. She's crazy. But then also like Adam Cole is great in it. Like everybody's acting is so fun in this because it's classic Bullet Club, classic like ROH with all those guys. So it was such a fun match to watch. It's like a 30-minute match, and it's tons of like, oh crap, is it gonna end here? Oh crap, is it gonna end here? And I don't know too much about ROH or Impact because I didn't really ever watch it, but like I just saw this and I was like, oh my god, this is such a good match. So I recommend that. It's just on YouTube, so
check it out.
Check that out. It's War of the Worlds, Kingdom versus Bullet Club.
Comment the algorithm sent you.
comment book it, Vin sent me, and no one will know what you're talking about. No. But yeah, check it out. And of course, as always, if you have any match recommendations to us, just let us know on social media and stuff, because we'd love to check those out and then maybe recommend them to more people.
Hell yeah.
But there we go, Anthony. That was our episode. If you want to follow everything that we do here at UnknownError Films, you of course can follow us online, Twitter and Instagram at UE_films. You can follow myself personally online at Barton_Minute, and you can follow Mr. Anthony Hall
at Hall and Jokes on Instagram and Twitter. Boom,
baby.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening or watching. Go watch some wrestling. Be safe out there, and we'll catch you next time. Tidbit. This is our thing now. We just close out with the too sweet.
We should. Why not?
Perfect.